All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, for nearly 40 years, the Big East Tournament has been one of the signature events at Madison Square Garden in New York City. We've seen some of college basketball's greatest players shine on this stage that is known by some as the Mecca of college basketball as a whole. Now, that list includes the likes of Pearl Washington, Allen Iverson, Richard Hamilton, and Chris Mullin, just to name a few. But one of the biggest names, if not the biggest name in the history of Big East basketball, is Patrick Ewing. Now, in the early 1980s, Ewing helped put the Big East on the map as he and the Georgetown Hoyas were one of the top teams in the league. And as the Hoya Destroyer, Ewing helped Georgetown make 3 Final Four appearances and win 1 national title in his 4 years at the DC school. Now, in '85, Ewing would go on to be the first overall pick of the NBA draft by the New York Knicks, who occupy MSG. And for 15 years, he put this franchise on his back, which included him leading them to the NBA Finals in 1994. Currently, Ewing is the head basketball coach at his alma mater, and he's on the verge of winning the Big East tournament. As of this recording, Georgetown is well up on Creighton in the second half of that contest. And it's going to be Georgetown's first win in the Big East tournament in more than a decade. But unfortunately, this is not the top story coming out of Midtown Manhattan this week in regards to the Big East tournament. Now, following Georgetown's win over top seed Villanova in the Big East quarters, Ewing used his press conference to bring to light about him being consistently asked to show his credentials by MSG Security, during this week. Now, Ewing is arguably the best player in Knicks franchise history, as he is their all-time leader in an array of categories, which includes points and rebounds. But you look at this right here, it's another black eye for Madison Square Garden and James Dolan. And of course, James Dolan is the man who owns MSG. He also owns the Knicks as well as the New York Rangers. And it's a situation, we've seen a lot of controversial issues be front and center in regards to Madison Square Garden and the Knicks during Dolan's tenure as the owner of this building and this franchise. We saw the situation with Charles Oakley, a former Knicks legend who was literally drug out of MSG by security several years ago. We saw the situation not too long ago with Spike Lee. And you think about Spike Lee, Spike Lee is synonymous with the Knicks. Of course, he's basically been a lifelong fan of the Knicks basketball team. Of course, you always see him sitting courtside supporting his favorite club. He's basically been an ambassador for this team. And, he's had his issues. Of course, you cannot overlook the Anuka Brown Sanders sexual harassment case that cost Dolan and the Knicks and MSG $10 million. It's a culture thing. We've seen James Dolan, kick fans out of Madison Square Garden for, criticism of the Knicks. We've seen him, keep fans back due to their criticism of this team. And, these things just don't sit well. And now we see the situation with Patrick Ewing, and honestly, this is disgusting. I know that there are going to be some people who are going to use the excuse and say, well, you know what? Ewing has not played for the Knicks in more than 20 years. Okay, I get that. But even in the era that we are in right now, you know who Patrick Ewing is, regardless of how young or old you are, especially if you are in the New York area. On top of that, you look at it, and you say, you know what, how many 7-foot guys are going to be walking through the door at Madison Square Garden? There's not that few. There's not that many. And I mean, if anybody needed to see Patrick's credentials, just look up to the rafters. Like he said, there's his jersey. You look at it, these situations only happen to the Knicks. I don't care what sport it is. No franchise treats their legends the way that the Knicks treat their legends in the past couple of seasons. I guarantee you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, AC Green, who was a role player for several championship teams for the purple and gold, and that's not taking anything away from what AC accomplished in the NBA. If he walked through the door at Staples Center, he's getting a VIP treatment. If Emmitt Smith walks through the door at AT&T Stadium for the Dallas Cowboys, he's getting a VIP treatment. No other player or no other franchise rather is going to treat their legends the way that the Knicks have treated their legends over the tenure of James Dolan's watch as the owner of this franchise. Again, when Charles Oakley was kicked out of Madison Square Garden, this man had to buy a ticket to come watch this team play. That's unheard of. You look at it, okay, you can say what you want. This might not be a direct Knicks-related issue, but the stench is there. Why? Because these things consistently find a way to happen on James Dolan's watch. And it's a situation, one is an accident, two is a trend, three is a problem, and we are at the point where we flat out have a fiasco on 33rd and 7th Avenue. This is why, we see players not wanting to be loyal to franchises, because guess what? The franchises are not loyal to you. And if you are a potential free agent, and I said this before during the Charles Oakley incident, and it's only going to be magnified right now. If you are a free agent, and you have the Knicks on your radar, and you see the way that Patrick Ewing has been treated, you see how Charles Oakley was treated prior to that, and on top of that, you see how the tenure of Carmelo Anthony finished with the blue and orange, why would you want to sign with this team? No way. No reason for it. You look at it, I know that people, poke fun at the Knicks because they said, hey, you know what? The Brooklyn Nets are the more attractive franchise right now. But the bottom line is, you know what? You look at it and say, hey, this is a Knick problem. It's a culture issue. It's pathetic. And honestly, it will be a very long time before the Knicks win another NBA championship. I look at it and I know that the Knicks have really improved this season, and that's not taking anything away from them. They are doing a good job under head coach Tom Thibodeau. But you look at it right now, this is an organization that does not need to have this bad press, and unfortunately, they're going to have to deal with it. I think it is a crying shame. It's sad and it's pathetic that Patrick Ewing is being treated like this. You look at it, I've always felt that Patrick Ewing was very underrated and very disrespected by a lot of people, because for a lot of other franchises, Patrick Ewing would be put on a pedestal. And that is not the case. I think, it's unfortunate. Of course, he was unable to win the NBA championship, but a lot of great players fall into that category. Great players alone don't win championships. It comes down to great teams and great organizations. Patrick did not always have a great team around him. But even with that said, he deserves a lot better fate than this. This is another black eye for James Dolan. It's another black eye for Madison Square Garden. And I don't know what it's going to take for situations like this to consistently stop happening to the Knicks, because Dolan is not selling the team anytime soon. He's not going away, because the Knicks are the most valuable franchise in the NBA. But with that said, it's disgusting. I don't know what is going to happen going forward. But again, this was not the press that the Knickerbockers needed, as they are having one of their better seasons in several years. So folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine fans out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. Take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.